We all have one thing in common. We want to live a meaningful and joyful life. And it seems like the golden ticket to being happy is to find our passion and purpose in life. But how do you do that? How do you find this one elusive thing that's going to make your life magically fall in place? I want to share some very actionable steps that I've taken that have helped guide me to figure out how to feel more fulfilled and more sure about my life. And hopefully they'll help you too. So let's take back control of our lives. Maybe this is you. You've done everything right in your life. You follow the path that's been expected of you. It seems like common sense when everyone else around you is doing the same thing. And the narrative, at least coming from an Asian immigrant family, sounds like study hard in school, get into a prestigious university, earn your diploma in a useful field, get a well-paying job, buy a house, get married, have kids, and naturally, you'll be happy. So you did those things, expecting to feel happy. But one day you wake up and you realize, what the heck am I doing? Living this routine day in and day out. This is the very picture of success that I've been working towards my whole entire life. I have a job, I have a paycheck, I can afford to live in the city, but why am I not happy? You realize that the life path you've been taking isn't actually correlated with your life satisfaction. In fact, you've been making a series of life decisions that have never really been your plan. Is the job, is the degree you got really what you wanted? Or is it something you just convinced yourself that you'd be happy with because it was the so-called safe route? Maybe you also realized you actually have so many options in life. You are free to do anything as an adult with free will. You can quit your job, you can move your life somewhere else, but recognizing that freedom doesn't actually bring any comfort. In fact, it does the complete opposite, because you've been told what to do your whole life, and then opening the floodgates to that level of choice and optionality is actually overwhelming, and you just feel stuck. Because where do you even begin? How do you get unstuck? Okay, first, know that you're not alone. You may feel like you shouldn't be stuck. You may feel like you should know what you're doing with your life. But let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody really knows what they're doing. People may seem to have it figured out. They may have a job, they may have a place to live, certain accolades, a good relationship. But just remember that life is constantly evolving, and most people are just winging it as they go. This is actually something that running unexpectedly has taught me how to answer. One of the most imperative things to do when you run is to know how you're feeling. In a very physical sense. Are you feeling pain? Are your muscles sore? Do you have a cramp? But like with running, to get out of feeling unstuck in your own life and make a change, we first need to know where we are right now in order to know where we want to go. So how are you doing? Like, really, how are you doing? And if you need some help answering this, you can break this down into 4 main areas. You can have health, work, play, and love. First, we have health. This is classically your physical health, but it's also important to think about this in terms of your emotional and your mental health. Next, we have work, which is kind of the stuff that you do, probably making a living off of, making money from, but can also include things that you volunteer for. Then you have play, which is any activity that you do purely for joy. If you are trying to win or advance or achieve in this, this doesn't count as play. Finally, you have the area of love, which can come in a lot of different factors, from community to romantic affection, anything that's really giving you a sense of connection. Then take a piece of paper and rate each of these on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is full and 0 is empty. Ask yourself, what areas are you feeling really full in your life? And what are you not as happy that you would want to work on? It is so important to first take a baseline about where you are right now and be truthful about it. Now, once you know where you are and how you're feeling, we can now find where we want to go, or what I like to call the North Star. Essentially, this is asking yourself, what do you believe makes a good life? A common misconception that I want to point out and that I've fallen into is believing that there is one universal correct answer to this question, and that I should be equally valuing what those around me value as well. Whether that's maximizing my salary, being in a long-term relationship, living in a certain city. But it's crucial to decide for yourself what is meaningful and what makes life meaningful. Otherwise, you're more likely to let other people design your life and to be following someone else's dream unintentionally, which is what led me to feel lost in the first place. Remember, there is no right answer, but everybody has and will tell you their opinion about what makes a good life, which is why it is so important to get clear on what your why is. And that's going to help you take power back into your own hands. Okay, so how do you figure out what your North Star is? You can think about this in a few big pieces, and I like to think about it in terms of life, work, and then how they work together. So first, let's talk about views on life. Here's some questions to ponder. What makes life worthwhile or valuable? What gives it meaning? How does your life relate to others in your family, in your community, and the world? What do money, fame, and personal accomplishment have to do with a satisfying life? And how important are experience, growth, and fulfillment to you? And secondly, for work, which is likely going to be a big part of your life, what is work for? Why do you do it? What makes work good? Is it service to others? Is it making money and having a good standard of living? Is it personal growth? And I want to clarify, the question here is not what do you do for work or writing a job description down, but it's more about your philosophy behind work and why you work, if that makes sense. It's so important to understand why do you do the things that you're doing? If you've been chasing more money or more fame, really ask yourself why you're doing those things. Is it because it makes your life feel more satisfying? Is it because you really value security in your life? Sometimes we don't really know why we're chasing things, just because everyone else around us is doing it. So once you've answered your philosophies on life and work, the next thing is to really connect the dots between who you are, what you believe, and what you're doing. Let's take this example. If in life you believe that it's really important that you leave the world a better place for the future generation, but maybe you work at a really big corporation that's not doing really good things for the environment, but they give you a really great paycheck, there's going to be a bit of a disconnect between what you believe and what you do, and a lot of the time that can breed discontent. Personally, I define a good life as working on solving the big problems such as education and access to healthcare. But in order to do these things, I really have to be curious and grow myself as much as possible. And also keeping up my mental and my physical health by keeping up good relationships as well as exercising to take care of my body. It also makes me realize why I value spending time running, because I get to explore all these new places when I go out on runs. It makes me engage with my body and understand what it's capable of physically. And I also love the energy that it gives me and that it makes me feel like I can show up as a better person every day. And that brings me to the next part. With a better understanding of what your guiding direction is, aka your North Star, you can now tune into the one huge thing that will really help you live your best life. And it's so simple. It's just following your energy and your engagement levels. You know when you have high energy levels around something, because you really enjoy it and it makes you feel really excited and focused. In the running world, there's something called a runner's high, which is described as a deeply relaxing state of euphoria. You get lost in this repetitive motion after running for a long period of time. And your mind is so focused on moving your legs, pumping your arms, that everything else slows down around you. And this is actually what psychologists call a flow state, which is when you do an activity that fully immerses you and it feels like time stands completely still. This usually happens when the challenge of the activity just matches with your skill level and you feel completely in the zone, not stressed because it's too hard, and not bored because the activity is too easy. You're so present in the activity that you don't notice that time is just passing by. So following your energy starts with just paying closer attention to the activities that you do in a day. Whether that's when you go on your morning walk, if you attend a dance class, you go hiking on the weekend, you're in a big work meeting, and just noticing when you feel engaged or excited, but also when you feel bored, restless, or unhappy. It helps to think specifically about what you're doing in those moments and note them down. Not just in terms of the activity that you were doing, but also what environment you were in, what people you're interacting with, which people specifically you were interacting with. Doing this is key to figuring out what you want to spend more time on and what will bring you more fulfillment. It also helps you understand what is really draining to you. In running, for me, it's being active and challenging my physical strength while I'm out enjoying the fresh air. And oftentimes it's also really alone where I can be fully focused, and that's taught me a lot of things about myself. Maybe you can't skip all the things that drain you, but just knowing what gives you more energy and engagement, even by just trying to make an extra hour so that you can do something that you really, really enjoy, is a really good way to have more options to get unstuck. While we may believe that finding one thing, your purpose or your passion, is going to magically make your life better, the thing is, by going through these exercises, hopefully you realize that that's not true. That there are actually a lot of things that can bring you energy and engagement, and there's not one right answer to figuring out what a good life is. To recap, getting unstuck is all about, well, first, realizing that you're stuck. Second, evaluating where you are in your life right now. 3, figuring out what your North Star and what you believe makes life meaningful. And finally, finding the activities that engage you, challenge you, and excite you in a day. Knowing the things that get you more excited and give you more meaning is total power. I've learned that so much of what you challenge yourself to do physically also helps to build mental clarity. And running has helped me find the time and the space to better understand myself. I really hope this was helpful. It's what I've been putting into practice over the last few months as I've been going through a pretty big transition in my life. If you want to learn more, I highly recommend this book called Designing Your Life by these 2 Stanford professors, Bill Burnett and Dave Evans, which was a lot of the inspiration behind this video. Their website also has a lot of worksheets if you're into that, so I'll link that down below. Also, if you've made it this far, here's another video that I made about how to reset for the new year, especially if you're feeling a little overwhelmed. That's all for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy holidays, happy new year, and Priscilla out.